Welcome back to my Intro to Web Dev series. Today is going to be a big day, so grab your coffees and lube those hands because we will be making a website. You will learn how a few simple topics come together to form a modern website. In this project, we will use HTML and CSS to make our website and a browser to render it. But before we get into the thick of it, let's talk about screens and layouts. In the modern day, we come across three screen sizes: the laptop/desktop, the phone, and the tablet. And then there are variants of the same size. If you have been an avid user of the internet for a while, you would have noticed that some years ago, many websites that worked on laptops didn't really work on your phones. They looked broken. That was because we programmers were not prepared for the drastic change in the screen sizes. But now we have the tools to fix that. So we came up with something called mobile first approach, where you design your website for a phone first and then repurpose it for other screens. Let's talk about layout. Any website you go to generally follows a simple layout. It will have a header box, content box, and a footer. Note that it is not necessary by any means to adhere to this format. It's just easier for the user to understand since they expect it more often. Anyway, the header generally has the title, the subject, logo, and maybe the navbar. The content has all the meat. It has the thing your user is here for, and many times a sidebar. The footer has contacts, credits, social info, and stuff like that. Imagine this as your website. The header will go over here with the logo and title and the subject. The content will go over here, and the footer will stick to the bottom of your page. Now that that's out of the way, let's get started. To set up the project, follow these 6 steps. This will be a constant and you have to learn them. Warning: from here on out, everything you see will be unscripted and unedited. The purpose is for you to see all the mistakes I make and see me solve them to learn how to solve them yourself. Alright, so if you followed my steps that I showed you a moment ago, you would start out with this. If you press exclamation and enter, it'll create a boilerplate code, inside of which the header, write in a link with the href to your index.css file. Let's create our generic website. It's going to have a div with the style or the class as site, and inside of this we will make a dot header, and inside the header a title, an icon or logo, and a subject. And then in the site again, we will make a dot content, and inside the content we will have a sidebar and a main, and then we will create a footer. Inside the footer we will have social and info. In the social we will make a bunch of divs. And in the divs, for now, let's just fill it with some placeholder letters. So F for Facebook, I for Instagram, T for Twitter. Let's write a title. And in the subject, let's write anything you want. And in the main, generate some lorem ipsum. Now if you right click and open with live server, it will create you a generic website. In the sidebar as well, create some divs. with numbers inside of them for now as placeholders. And there you go. Your HTML is supposedly done. You don't need anything else. In fact, let's just fill in some info. I created some lorem ipsum. And all we need to do is inside your index.css, first call body. And in the body, let's give it a margin of 0. And a background color of something dark for now. I like dark colors. All the text in our body needs to be white so that it's visible. And I want the font family to be Arial. Since we have a dot site and everything inside of it is our website, let's style that next. Let's give it a display flex. To bring everything in our body or in our site at the center of the page, what you do is you create a display flex and then you align items center and then flex direction column. Technically everything is in the center, it's just the width is 100% for everything as a default except for the things inside of here. So to get to that, first let's make the header. And before we do that, in fact, if you press Ctrl-Shift-I on your browser, it will open up your console and stuff like that. If you click on this button right here, it will open everything up inside a mobile view. So since we are applying mobile first approach, this is actually going to help you more. What you need to do inside of header is give it a width of 100% and a background color of something darker. And then let's do display flex in here, and to space everything evenly so the website's title and the subject needs to have equivalent distance between them. What we can do is justify content space evenly. And now in the header we have the title, which should have a larger font size. In my case, I'll do 10 of whatever the view width is. And then also, I want everything to be equally aligned vertically. So align items center. And then for the subject, inside the header, I want its font size to be something as well. Let's give it a font size of 6VW. We have an icon, or is it a logo? It's a logo. So let's make a dot header. I want it for now to be just a generic circle. So to create a circle, you have to give a very particular width. I'll give it 3 EM and a particular height. And then you can do a border radius of 50% and then a background color of anything you want, and it will generate a circle. And I want the header to have a padding up and down of 0.5 EM. That way everything will be evenly spaced and not look cluttered. So that should be all for our header right now. In the content, what we need is the width to be 100% and everything needs to be aligned vertically. So display flex, align item center, and flex direction column. Everything is now aligned vertically. Let's give it a minimum width or minimum height of 100 VW. Let's actually do it as 50 instead, or also not width BH, and a background color of something lighter. That looks good. And also let's add a little bit of padding again to up and down of 0.5 EM and 0. Now let's come to the sidebar. I want its width to be 100% with a background color of something darker. And everything aligned inside of it needs to be spaced evenly. So justify content, space evenly, and align items center. Interesting. Okay, right. So it won't work unless you specify display as flex. And now inside the sidebar we have divs. So let's call that and give them a vertical padding of 0.5 EM and 0. And now what we need is whenever we hover or click on it, it needs to do something. So dot sidebar div hover. Let's change the background color to orange. So every time I click on this, it will turn orange. But this doesn't look good. We need it to be a bit bigger. So what you can do is you can do with 100% of the divs inside and then text align center. And now they will occupy even space. Now let's come to the main inside the content. I want it to have a margin top of 1 EM. And I think that's all I want, besides for like text align center. And also let's give it a little less width than the original. Width of 95% should do. And that way everything will be centered and nothing will leak out. That should be all for the content. Let's go on to the footer. I want the footer to follow same rules as everything else. Flex direction column. And then I want the footer to have a lighter background color as well. And then let's come to the social part of the footer. We will have it have a width of 100. In fact, the social follows most of what our sidebar follows. So what you can do is just copy the sidebar and remove the color. And then the sidebar divs also follow through. So copy that and turn the sidebar into social. And now Also, I want, instead of this, I want to give it a fixed width of 3 em and a height of 3 em again, with background color of something different, like chocolate. And then also let's remove this. Border radius 50%. And then let's also give it a display of flex, justify content, center, align items, center. Now for dot footer dot info, I want it to have a text align center as well, with a margin top of 1 em. If you notice, our footer is not at the base. To do that, what you can do is go to the footer, apply position absolute, and stick it to bottom 0. And the issue with this is it won't always be at the bottom of our website. It'll just stick to this base. Let me show you. So if I add another lorem ipsum text, and like a few more, it will leak in and this will not adjust with it. In order to do that, all you have to do is go onto your site and position relative. For now, let's see if it worked by hiding the footer. You can do that by writing display none. As you can see, it's still not working. So what you can do for that is you can transform by translating it by 100% in the y-axis. Now it's actually working. If you go back to the desktop view, this is what it will look like. And to fix that, what you can do is give the site a min height of 100 view height. And that way it'll be over here. Also, you can give the content a min height of 100 VH, and that way it will all fit in together.